Hey there, welcome back to our Rev Games Academy. In our previous tutorial, we learned about creating pop-ups and dialog boxes. In this video, we will be exploring an interesting topic, which is adding loading screens and progress bars. So without further delay, let's dive right in. First, let's set up the loading scene. You're going to create a separate scene that will display while other scenes are loading in the background. Let's name it something simple like loading scene. Once you've created the scene, save it and make sure you're ready to start building the UI. Now let's create the UI elements for the loading screen. We'll need a canvas to hold everything. This canvas will be the container for all of our UI elements. You can set a background color for your camera of your choice. Set your canvas render mode to screen space camera and assign the main camera to the render camera reference field. You can adjust the properties of your canvas and canvas scaler as needed. Next, we need a background for the loading screen. Right-click on the canvas, select UI, and choose Panel. This will act as our background. Resize it so it covers the entire screen. By default, it should already fit the screen size. Next, you can adjust the background color for your panel. Next, we can create an images folder and import the necessary sprites for our loading screen and progress bar. Once done, we can create a slider for our progress bar by right-clicking the panel, selecting UI, then slider. We can resize and reposition the slider to fit our requirements. Next, we can assign sprites for the slider, slider handle, and adjust the color, other properties, etc. If you need to assign a sprite for the handle, select the handle, and in the inspector window, drag and drop the sprite. Then, resize it to fit your requirements. You can repeat the same process for your slider as well. Next, the fill color can be adjusted for the slider as well to fit requirements. Now, test the scene by clicking the play button and check if the slider is working properly. Now let's add a Text Mesh Pro component to display the text. Loading. Once done, adjust the font properties for the text. Finally, you can adjust the properties of the slider, slider handle, text, and main camera, such as the background color, text font size, and rect transform position as needed to suit your requirements. All right, now let us implement this loading screen in a real-time scenario. We have created a main menu as discussed in our previous tutorial, a loading panel in our loading scene, and a game scene. Next, we can create a Text Mesh Pro component to display the progress percentage and assign the text to it. Once done, adjust the font properties for the text. Now we're moving on to the scripting part. We need to create a script that will handle the loading process and update the progress bar as the scene loads. To do this, right-click in the Assets folder and create a new C# script. Let's name it loadingmanager.cs. Open the script in your editor and we'll write the logic to load the scene asynchronously while updating the progress bar. In the script, we first define a public string variable to reference and assign the scene name game scene, which we will be opening. Then we define 4 variables to hold references to the main menu, loading panel, loading bar, and loading text. These will allow us to manipulate the UI elements. In the start method, we check if the loading text variable is assigned. If it isn't, we automatically find the first Text Mesh Pro UI component in the child objects of the current game object and assign it to the loading text variable. Then we create a method called begin loading, where we disable the main menu by setting it to false and enable the loading UI by setting it to true. We then start a coroutine and pass load scene as the argument. Next, we define a method called load scene, which is a coroutine. Using IEnumerator as the return type allows the method to yield control back to Unity at certain points, enabling asynchronous operations without blocking the main game loop. In the load scene coroutine, we first introduce a 1-second delay using wait for seconds of 1F. Then we begin loading the scene asynchronously with scenemanager.load scene async, while setting the allow scene activation flag to false to prevent the scene from activating until it's almost fully loaded. Next, we enter a loop that continues as long as the scene is not fully loaded. During each iteration of the loop, we update the progress bar based on load operation.progress, which provides the current load percentage. We also update the loading text to reflect the percentage of completion by multiplying the progress by 100 and converting it to a readable format. Once the loading reaches 90%, we introduce another short delay and then set allow scene activation to true, allowing the scene to fully load and switch over. The coroutine continues running until the scene is fully loaded, ensuring the game remains responsive and the user is informed about the loading progress. Now, let's connect the script to the UI elements. Attach the loadingmanager.cs script to an empty game object in your scene. Something like Script Manager will work great. After attaching the script, assign the references from the hierarchy into the corresponding fields in the inspector. This links the UI elements and scene name to the script, allowing them to update during loading. Next, assign the script to the on-click component of the play button and call the begin loading method from the script. All right, now it's time to test our entire setup. Before we can test it, make sure your loading scene and game scene is added to the build settings. If it's not added, go to the respective scene within your project and click Add Open Scenes to add it. Once everything is set up, it's time to test everything. Note that once the play button is clicked, the main menu is disabled, the loading UI is enabled, and the slider is controlled through scripting. Once the loading is complete, the game scene is loaded asynchronously. Asynchronous loading is a technique that enables resources to be loaded in the background without blocking the main content, enhancing performance and responsiveness of websites or applications. That's a wrap for today's tutorial. I hope you found it helpful in creating loading screens and progress bars for your game. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content. In our next video, we will be building an inventory system UI. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.